Three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, so I ran across a really great article by Travis Seaton, and he's over at Cohere One. He's been working with John Lenzer for a lot of years, and he and I co-presented at the Cohere One conference in Chicago this year, and he presented this idea that not all lifetime value is created equal. And so and this is on my pocket, so you can find the article. But he talks about a lot of stuff, big spreadsheets and all that, and he presented that here. I decided to kind of boil it down. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about what is lifetime value, okay? And the idea is, and Martin Bear really came up with this at Old Dominion Life Insurance, I think it was called, in Kansas City. Martin Bear. Martin and I have had a few good conversations. And he said, we're selling this term life insurance and we get an initial bunch of premium, but we don't take into account the subsequent payments. And so he said we ought to be able to spend more to get a customer if we take into account the long-term revenue stream that we're generating. So that was basically the idea. Okay. And this is kind of the picture of how it looks like in term life. Now, the funny part about term life and why it doesn't exactly fit the catalog industry is that I never get letters from my term life insurance company saying, "We love you and we hope you'll be with us until the day you die." They never do. They never remarket me. Why not? Because if they get down here in year 7 and I forget to send in a payment or forget to track it right or something else and drop dead the next day, they don't have to pay the life insurance. It's just they get to keep all the money. Okay? So it's not exactly like the catalog industry where, you can be with somebody for a long time. I started buying from Land's End in the mid 70s. And I buy from them today. I've had shirts on. You've seen me where I say this is from Land's End this past year. So whatever that number of years it is, 40 years now. But I took a hiatus because I was involved with a different marketing company, and so they had a menswear partner, so I bought from them. But I went back on a Land's End, and I could log right in. My password was still the same, and everything was great. So unlike life insurance, where people either stop paying or die, in the catalog business, they could disappear for a while and then come back to life. It's really odd. So we're going to talk a little bit about tracking. And in this, a lot of the industry has a lot, they'll track a person and then they'll try and keep track of it all. But, I may have talked to Land's End. I may have talked to my kids about Land's End. I think they probably buy from Land's End. I don't know if they do or not. But they know I do. And do I get credit for that? We make like a Ponzi scheme. It's hard to tell what's really going on in terms of the really, really long lifetime values. The what is that customer worth to you if they really like you a lot over a lifetime, a real lifetime? That's what we're talking about in the catalog industry. There's no reason to go away. When I'm dead, maybe my wife will still buy from Land's End. Maybe my kids will. Okay, so a lot of formulas try to take a new customer in and try to figure out, they've gone down to recency. 3 years ago they bought, and then they bought 5 years ago, and nope, now they reactivated, so they're back up here in the hotline, and they try to map all of this stuff. It's very difficult. Well, John Worth, Woodworker Supply of New Mexico, taught me about the bathtub model. So the more customers you want, the more it costs you. You turn on the spigot. You turn on the faucet. The harder you turn that faucet on, the more customers you're going to generate. Usually we can kind of tell a new customer because we can match them back and say, oh, there's nobody's in here before this with this name and address. So we'll call this a new customer. And then what happens is, whoops, I don't know what happened with that one. That interrupted my wonderful flow here. It's supposed to be, let's delete this slide. Slide, delete slide. Don't know how that happened. So let's get the animation going. See, and then the guy falls down into here. See him going? Okay, and then we accumulate customers. Now, as we accumulate customers every year, let's say we have 10,000 customers life to date. We're a new company. We've got going. We've got 10,000 people who bought from us, and we add another 1,000. What happens in here? What happens? Well, if you track if you have a definition like 0 to 12 or 0 to 24 as active customers, somebody's bought from you in the last two years, that's a pretty good definition. You'll find out that you added in 1,000, but it won't go to 11,000. It'll go to like 10,000. Might go down. It might go to 9,900 because some of them are going down the drain. And the problem is, you can't always tell who's going down the drain. Land's End might have thought I went down the drain, and yep, back I come, and I start buying again 10 years later, and here I am, good as ever, right? So the nice part about the bathtub is that as you keep metrics of your total customer file and of these bands of recency, you can kind of get a feel for whether you're flowing enough in or there's too many going out. And both methodologies can grow your customer file. You can either do better customer service and save them and do reactivation offers and stuff, or you can acquire more. Now, in today's world, we think we should be acquiring more. We think that we should be going out on the digital marketing and say, man, oh man, instead of spending $1 in a catalog and renting a list and sending it out into the wilderness and hoping somebody will buy from me, I can go digital and I can keep track of everything, and I know all about them, and I know what they've been viewing on Netflix and all this other stuff, and it's, or what they browse on Facebook. Well, we've talked about that. That isn't necessarily engagement. Okay, but you think, okay, I'm going to do that. This is what Travis was talking about. The lowest cost per new customer may not produce the most value. I was in the preview, we talked about how some of my clients are putting up products on Amazon, and they may be accidentally mailing a few of them. And, they say, well, we can acquire customers very inexpensively, but you're not really allowed to mail them your catalog afterwards. Okay, so, but just in case you did, how did they do? Because the rules change sometimes. Truth is, they did crummy, terrible garbage. Okay? The other thing is that SEO and digital may not generate as good a customer as your catalog does. So Travis argues that you should track value by source. It's from Travis Seaton, VP Courier 1. Okay, and he talks about an example company that they generated 8,000 customers in 2016, and then they said, oh, let's take that money and let's devote it. Look at this. This goes way down. Let's devote it to search engine marketing, okay? And so they generate almost the same number. It's within 100 or something, a little 150. So that's just about the same number of customers are generated. But those digital customers may not be as valuable. Remember that catalogs interact with your brain in different centers. You have 10 times more neuroreceptors in your brain for touch than you do it for sight. Okay? So when you come back to them, and a lot of times they don't mail them a catalog, they'll go back and try and do banner ads or digital ads or email or pound the tar out of them. Anyway, and so here, spending basically the same amount of money, they take the catalog money that they were prospecting with, and they throw that down onto SEM, and here this company generates about the same number of orders, but they're not as valuable. They're not the kind of customers that come back again. And this is what they're finding, that Travis says we're finding this with the SEO, that they're not as valuable as the ones that originally came via catalogs. Great point, right? Great point. Here's how you take the same amount of acquisition spending and you end up with almost 10% less sales. Watch out for that. So, when we're talking about customer lifetime value, we're really talking about an ROI window. That's what Travis says, of 12 to 24 months. There goes my alarm. After the first sale. We're looking at downstream profitability I would suggest that in addition to source, you might want to keep track of if it was a sale offer that you acquired them with, or if it was like a high ticket item or a low ticket item. You don't have to get into every detailed SKU. It won't make any bit of sense. But the idea is what kind of offer, what kind of product, what kind of source, and maybe the offer you could count, and what kind of vehicle, catalog versus SEO. Okay. I'm John Miglosh. Hit like and share. Great talking with you.